In Project 6, you'll utilize the class that you created for Project 5. And the main focus of this project will be to demonstrate how to pass classes to functions. So we'll be writing a main program. Okay, and as I said before, you're going to utilize the existing class header file and implementation file from Project 5. So that's divisionsales.h, divisionsales.cpp. Please name your REPL last name 6. The one thing I want to emphasize is you're not going to add any new functions to the actual class. The class definition should stay as is with a couple minor changes. The two changes that I'd like you to make to your .h file and the .cpp file is to add the include guard, and I'm going to go into that in a little more detail in a moment, and use constant functions where appropriate. The one thing I want to draw your attention to are the videos in the current module that will explain these topics in more detail. And I just realized I'm not logged in, so give me 1 minute. Okay, so if you go into Module 6, into Assignment 6, you'll see that you have these videos down here that describe include guards in more detail, describe the constant member functions. There are a few more, little more information here on constant member functions. This one's really important. Class objects as parameters, so using functions and passing class objects as reference and constant reference parameters. And then lastly, arrays of objects. Okay. Include guards. So the first item that I'm asking you to change in divisionsales.h is to add the include guard. So here you have the if not defined statement. So if not defined, divisionsales _ h, define it, and then your end if. So add this to divisionsales.h, and again, there's that video that goes into more detail. The next thing is to check each of your functions and use the constant keyword to make a function a constant where appropriate. So where appropriate is a function that does not change data. So an example of that is the get functions. Get functions typically do not change data. They simply retrieve data. So in this example here in get code, the const keyword is added to the function header and to the function prototype. It makes the function constant. In other words, no data members are being modified, and this way you don't inadvertently change data inside a function where it shouldn't be changed. So do that for all of the functions where it is appropriate to do that. Okay. The Project 6 has a file attached. It's main.cpp. And so this is kind of a starter file for you, and I'm asking you to take the starter file and make some modifications to it. Main.cpp is a program that uses the division sales class that you created in Project 5. And just to give you an overview of what that program does. So that program presents the user with a menu, and that menu displays 4 options that I'll go through in just a minute. But what I'm asking you to do with this program is to add functions that are part of main, and in those functions you're going to be calling some of the class functions, but really you're organizing main to take advantage and leverage a class that's already in existence. These are the 4 functions that should be added to main.cpp, not inside the class. The first one is to get division info. So this is prompt the user, get some info, and then set all the data members. Add year to date, increase the year to date member by an amount that the user enters. Remove year to date, decrease, and then update the target. Now I want to go through each of these in a little more detail, but first let me walk you through main.cpp. Okay, so you'll see that I included the .h file up at the top, and there is one function in this program so far. This function presents the users with a menu. Okay, now let's look at main. I'll come back to menu in just a minute. But in main, I created an object, division sales object called div north. And the first thing you should do is call your get division info function, so that the user will be prompted to enter in the data members, that includes the division code, the number of employees, the year-to-date amount, sales amount, and the target sales amount. And so once the user enters in that, then call all of the set functions to set the data in the div north object that I created over here. Okay, so if I take you back here, oops, not there, here, right, that's the objective of get division info. The next function, add year to date. So what this function does, and let me take you back to the code so you can see where it is. Right, so here I had to initialize choice. So choice, I initialized it to X, which is not an option. This way it'll get past this condition here and enter into the while loop. Once in the while loop, the user's displayed with the menu. Right, so now here's the menu that displays. A, add to year to date. R, remove from year to date. Update target and quit. The to upper function is called to change the user's input to uppercase every time. And then the user's input is returned to main. So now if I go back, here's where you call the menu function, you return the value to main, and now you analyze through if-else-if structure. So the first option, A, is to call the add to year to date function. And what this function does is it prompts the user to enter in an amount that gets added to the year-to-date sales figure, right? So how much did you increase your sales by? Basically, that's what that's doing. Then you're going to call the increase year-to-date function that's in the class already, and it'll update the year-to-date data member. Now you have the other two functions, remove year-to-date and update target. So if I go back to the code, right, that's the next one, is the remove year-to-date. So remove year-to-date, prompt the user for an amount to subtract, and then that value is subtracted from the current year-to-date value. Now, each time you do this, I would like you to also call the display function that is already in the class to display the updated value. Okay, and then lastly is update target, and update target means if the sales target needs to be changed, the users would enter in this option, enter an amount, and then set the target sales amount. So let me go back to my explanation. Again, display when you're done. All right, so this function prompts the user to enter the new target amount, call the class function set target to update the sales target data member, and then just like the other functions, at the end of the function, the updated division sales object must be returned to main. Okay, so in each case, the updated division sales object must be returned to main. And again, this is where, if I go back here, this is where this video is most helpful. Class objects as parameters. So the objective of each of these functions is to make some changes to those class data members, and then make sure that that updated class object is returned. Okay, so in this program, I could run it as is, right? So if you have your division.h, division-sales.h, and your division-sales.cpp, go ahead and run it, right? And you see that it runs. It's not going to do anything, but you can see that it does run as is. Okay, and then the last thing I want to mention is additional requirements. Use the display function from the division sales class. You shouldn't write a new display function. Use the one that's already in the class so that you can see the updated value every time. And then the program must include documentation for each function, including included in main.cpp, right? So include your comment block for each of these. And of course, most important thing, parameters. Make sure you're using appropriate parameters, whether they're value, reference, or constant reference. As always, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. You have tutoring that's available, but feel free to contact me.